Welcome back. Alright. Got this '09 Dakota Dodge. Got it up on the quick jacks today. We're going to be doing the wheel bearing here. And sounds, we'll just go back and zoom out here. Sounds mighty terrible. Sounds like there's a thunderstorm going on or something inside that wheel bearing. Something's happening. If it ain't that wheel bearing, which is what I bought, I'm going to have other problems. Because the only other thing it can be is in the differential, which I doubt it, because here's the driver's side. Quiet as a mouse. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Got me a 22 millimeter impact socket, and we're going to zippy zap this wheel off. Milwaukee, typical 18 volt Milwaukee fuel. Set on number 3, pretty much lives on number 3. I don't change it much. I haven't had anything that hasn't been able to get off. Works well. Alright, next thing we're going to do, get the brake caliper off, get that hung up here, get the axle nut off. There are 3 bolts coming in the back, and then we'll be basically, the hub will be off. Walk it as we go here. Alright, just grab your tool of choice in this case. Pry driver. I just kind of get it kind of shimmied in there. And then I just kind of, light pressure, just pull it to you. That'll compress your, in this case, the dual piston caliper. And then you'll know, because I'll have play back and forth. Alright, I was going to take the whole caliper off, but I think I'm just going to grab the big bolts here, top and bottom, see what size those are, and I'll just take it off and just hang it instead of taking the caliper off, then the caliper mount off. So yeah, we'll just do that. Alright, caliper's off. Got it hanging here off the upper control arm. Rotor, slide it off. Those were 21 millimeter is what I used on a half broken ratchet. Use what works. Alright, next thing, figure out size these bolts in the back of, see if we can show you. Alright, so there's one here, one there, and one here. Let's see if we can get back there. Some light maybe. Yep. There's that one. There's one over there, hiding. And then there's one playing peekaboo down there. There it is, hiding. Alright, let's figure out what socket I need and get those off. Alright, in the process here I got that one's off, that one's off. I'm going to work on that one. For those not working with some form of an impact to get off your CV axle nut, make sure, I'm just going to use a long pry bar through here with the socket, otherwise we'll see how it goes, but probably should have loosened that up or spun that off before I started taking those off. Oh, either way, it'll be fine. We'll get it off. Alright, here we go. This is a 35 millimeter. slight work of that. In my case, CV axle is not stuck, so that's awesome. Moving out with the last hub bolt in the back. Alright, well, not every job is without its problems. Now I gotta sit here and play whack-a-mole and get this off. Thankfully this is free. My problem is the bolt. It lives right here in the back. Well, that's the head. There's the rest of it. I assume it looks something like this one that came out of the other bottom side. Kind of messed up, I guess. Versus, this is what it looked like coming out of the top one. That's what it should have looked like. So now what I'm going to have to do, since this will still come off, it's just going to be more of a pain in the butt with this, with that much shaft, pretty much the whole bolt sticking through with rusty crusties. So I got to deal with that to try and get it off. But I got to now go to the hardware store and find a replacement, which should be fun. So I can possibly put this customer's vehicle back together. Alright, we're going to be at this for a while. Alright, in continuation, we were successful. I tried a slide hammer. Did not work out for me. It just wasn't making it happen. So I ended up being lucky that my air hammer with just the blunt end was the right diameter, that it fit perfectly in the bolt hole. And here's the bearing. There's the broken bolt. So I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store and try and find one. In the meantime, it honestly doesn't sound terrible. So hopefully that is the actual problem. It's just, not pressed under pressure, and I'm not spinning it with the tire at any speed here. So alright, well, let's get to it. Let's get this other one put in, and we'll deal with the bolt situation after. Alright, after a whole bunch of time loss, we did get the old wheel bearing off, and then we had to go waste a whole bunch of time driving around town looking for M14 with a 1.50 thread pitch, which I did not find at any local hardware store. I ended up Googling it, and every now and then you get lucky. That's the Dorman part number. And you get 3 of these. 3 of these bolts. Fortunately, that bolt is about a ½ inch too long, so I took them, threaded it into the back, into my old hub, threaded it through, and then used a cut-off grinder and cut it to the same length as the old bolt. And now we're going to try and get back on track now that it's way later. I mean, it was light out when I started, and now we're going to get this going again. Alright, we're making progress. So the 3 bolts that hold the hub assembly bearing to the hub, I put those at 120 foot-pounds of torque. This is the axle nut. The bearing actually came with its own little thing. It says 185. If you Google it, everybody's like 175, 180. So I just went kind of in the middle. 180 foot-pounds torque. I got this nice big pry bar here from good old Harbor Freight. Just stick it in there and then torque it until it clicks. I've already done that. Just figured I'd just take a quick video of that. Next step, when you do this, make sure you put your shield there for your rotor on the right way. Notice that that's how it goes. And then we'll get the caliper bracket on next. We'll slap the rotor on, slap the caliper bracket on, and torque those bolts. I don't know if the torque spec is on those yet. Usually just go tight and then call it good, but we'll look it up. And then put the wheel on. Alright, there we go. Wheel is on. Just have to let it down and torque it. If you followed through since the beginning, you know when I rotated it, it sounded horrendous. Now it is buttery smooth and quiet, exactly the way it should be. So that was the solution to his long-term problem where he had a whole bunch of noise in the cab. It's just a wheel bearing that's been going out over the last couple thousand. Just a noisy wheel bearing. Alright everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the support.